Hi all, Azure here. Welcome back to the Heart Headlines, where today we'll be talking about a very important topic, one that concerns a very vital game to the Kingdom Hearts series, especially going into Kingdom Hearts 4, and that is a remake of the mobile game Kingdom Hearts Union Cross. Yes, I believe this is one of the most important Kingdom Hearts games that they have to make. Not Verum Rex, not another Kyrie game, not even Kingdom Hearts 4 itself, it's Kingdom Hearts Union Cross Remake. Before we go any further, it goes without saying, but spoilers for Union Cross as well as many games from across the series. With that out of the way, let's get started. First, we have to talk about why Union Cross is so paramount to Kingdom Hearts' overarching narrative going forward. Much of the setup for the future of the series can be found in Union Cross. This is where we get things like our first real knowledge about the Master of Masters, the concept of the primordial darkness and the first inkling of the Master's plan for them, the origin of Ventus, our new Union leaders, and the existence of the lifeboats. But I can go on and on and on, but you get the picture. Now, let's talk specifics. In Union Cross, we have 8 characters who are now scattered across the Kingdom Hearts timeline. Let's first establish who they are, their narrative contributions, and where they end up as a base for those who are newer to the concepts surrounding Union Cross, and to also show these characters' trajectories in the Kingdom Hearts story currently. We have Ephemer first. He is one of the Union leaders, and watchers of the Keyback cover movie in 2.8 and players of Kingdom Hearts 3 will recognise Ephemer. He's seen as the leader of the overall collective of Union leaders present in Union Cross. He acts as a voice of reason as well as being you, the player's best friend. Near the end of the game, Ephemer would gain possession of both the Master's Defender, or Master's Keeper, depends on what you want to call it, and the Book of Prophecies, which he received from Brain, as Ephemer was supposed to be the original recipient of these items. At the game's conclusion, Ephemer would enter the lifeboat, however out of all of the characters, his pod is the only one that does not leave Daybreak Town as it crumbles around him. Instead, Ephemer's pod would wash upon the wreckage of Daybreak Town and, presumably with the Master's Defender, would go on to build a new world, one that would become Scala ad Caelum, however not quite as we know it, as it's revealed in one of the final cutscenes, Ephemer would found this city as its master, with a statue being built in honour of him in the town square. However, his ultimate fate is left a mystery. Next, we have Skuld. Skuld is also a Union leader. Skuld is one of the player's best friends along with Ephemer. Along with the player and Ephemer, she stays behind in the Data Daybreak Town and is ambushed by 4 of the primordial darknesses. After a very hard-fought battle against the player, Skuld is alongside Ephemer for the end of Daybreak Town and also enters a lifeboat. Unlike Ephemer, however, her pod does leave. However, it's never stated where or when she ends up, but we can make a few educated guesses based on evidence. In Kingdom Hearts 3 Secret Reports 1, 3, and 4, it's mentioned that a young girl, approximately 15 years old, known only as Subject X, appears in Radiant Gardens Square sometime after the events of Birth by Sleep's final episode, with no memories aside from 4 friends and a key, as well as the phrase, "May my heart be my guiding key," where she is subsequently taken and experimented on by apprentice Xehanort and Ansem the Wise. She would form a bond with a young Lee and Isa who would sneak into the castle to speak with her. However, one day, a man bearing an eye patch would take her from this place, never to be seen or heard from again, leading to Ansem's halting of the experiments they were conducting. It is very widely believed that this girl is in fact Skuld. I break down the how and why in this video discussing world lines, so check that out for a more in-depth analysis on the subject. After these reports, much like Ephemer, her fate remains a mystery. Next is you, the player. The player is one of the Keyblade wielders during the Age of Fairy Tales. After the Keyblade War of Kingdom Hearts Key, they are saved by both Ephemer and Skuld, who were residing in the Unchained Realm until after the war, and is taken to the Data World alongside them. They then live out their days of the original Key story in Kingdom Hearts Unchained Key, with their Chirithy eating the nightmares of the Keyblade War in order to make them forget their memories of the events of Key. They would, however, fully remember these memories and would help the Union leaders escape. The player's fate is unfortunately tragic, as they would attack Ephemer and Skuld under the guise of primordial darkness possession, ultimately being sucked into a gateway of the lanes between Data Daybreak Town and the game's central station, with both the player and Ephemer locking the lane from both sides, trapping the 4 primordial darknesses in there with them. After the player reveals their ruse to the darknesses never actually being possessed, they would pass on from this life, deciding not to become a Dream Eater and to instead allow their heart to melt into the heart of another, becoming what would have been the player of Missing Link. Unfortunately, we would never get to learn that story as Missing Link was cancelled and development ceased in May of 2025. All we know of the Missing Link player's time is that they would grow old, taking an infant Xehanort from his mother and raising him on the Destiny Islands under the belief that Xehanort was a child of Destiny, an empath who can sense the hearts and feelings of others, before peacefully passing away on the islands, never to be seen or heard from again. Next is Ventus. I'm sure Ventus needs no introduction, but you may not know of his origin. Ventus is a Keyblade wielder and an imposter union leader. Ventus was a fairly weak-willed Keyblade wielder, and at an unknown point in time was possessed by one of the 13 primordial darknesses for this reason. He would then go on to be manipulated by darkness into luring Strelitzia, one of the chosen union leaders, into a secluded building so that she could be struck down by darkness. Ventus would then take her rulebook and be led by darkness disguised as Master Ava, who would then tell him that he is a union leader. Ventus would meet with the other union leaders, however it would eventually be discovered that Ventus is an imposter. However, Ventus is none the wiser to this fact, as he was told by who he believed to be Ava that he was a union leader. He would eventually break down and, seizing the opportunity, the primordial darkness would reveal itself, and after a fight breaks out between it, Brain, Ephemer and Skald, Ventus would eventually become pure light, taking the darkness down and resealing it inside his own heart, falling into a deep slumber as a result. He would then be taken by the others, being put in a lifeboat and sent into the future to Birth by Sleep, where he would be found by Master Xehanort in the Keyblade graveyard, and well, you know the rest from that point. He would form a friendship with Terret and Aqua, fall to sleep again, be reawoken, and fought in the Keyblade War before being reunited with his Kirathi at the end of Kingdom Hearts 3, likely regaining his memories of his time during Union Cross. Next is Strelitzia. Strelitzia is the one person we know the least about. She was intended to be one of the 5 Union leaders, but, as previously discussed, she was struck down by Ven's primordial darkness before she had a chance. She is introduced as someone with a fascination for the player character, wanting to desperately meet them. She is also revealed to be the younger sister of Laurium, a character we'll get into in just a moment. While she disappears from life, it's discovered that, after the day-to-day breakdown begins glitching, both Laurium and Elrena begin to see her visage appear in the day-to-day breakdown cloaked in a white gown. Akirathi also spots her walking with a man with a black coat, heavily believed to be Luciu. While there is no 100% confirmation, Luciu, now in the real Daybreak Town, would then take this white-gowned individual, placing them in a lifeboat and declaring that they are the true Dandelion, before sending them off to wherever it is they are destined to go. But, if I'm to make an educated guess, it would be that she is sent to Quadratum, where of course, we learn that she is set to play a major role in Kingdom Hearts 4, finding Sora after the events of Kingdom Hearts 3 Remind and taking care of him till he wakes up. It's yet to be clear what kind of role she has to play in Kingdom Hearts 4, but whatever it is, I'm sure it will be vital to what comes next. Next is Laurium. Laurium, as we previously stated, is the older brother of Strelitzia. Laurium is also one of the chosen Union leaders. It's Laurium who first discovers the lifeboats out of the Union leaders, as he also discovers Maleficent along with a primordial darkness, who presumably both take him on in a fight, but wipe him clean out and take a lifeboat, destroying one in the ensuing battle. Laurium's main purpose is he's trying to find his sister throughout the game, eventually learning that Ventus had a hand in her disappearance, and trying to strike him down, before realizing it was actually the darkness that did it. There's multiple points where he's haunted by Strelitzia, whether this is a data glitch or otherwise is never truly explained. Laurium would leave in one of the lifeboats, ending up in Dwarf Woodlands sometime before or during the events of Birth by Sleep, and would eventually go on to become Marluxia, clashing with Sora in multiple games, and, upon his defeat in Kingdom Hearts 3, regaining his memories of his time as Laurium during Union Cross, and remembering his goal, to find his sister. Next is Elrena. Elrena is a dandelion and friend to Strelitzia. She was one of the first people who made contact with Laurium to tell him that his sister had gone missing, helping throughout the course of the game trying to uncover the mystery of her disappearance with the help of her Kirathi. They would eventually see apparitions, glitches in the matrix of a ghostly Strelitzia haunting Data Daybreak Town, as they also witness her final moments at the hand of Ven's darkness. It was her Kirithy that discovered the Black Coat leaving with someone who looked like Strelitzia. Ilrena too would depart Daybreak Town in a lifeboat, ending up in Enchanted Dominion sometime before or during the events of Birth by Sleep, eventually going on to become Larxene, also, just like Marluxia, clashing with Sora in multiple games, and upon her defeat in Kingdom Hearts 3, presumably regaining her memories of her time as Ilrena in Union Cross, with it being likely that Ilrena will once again meet up with Lauriam and help him find his sister. And finally, we have Brain. Brain is one of the chosen Union leaders, however there is a catch with him. Despite having been chosen, he was not the chosen to inherit the Master's Defender and Book of Prophecies from the Master of Masters. Instead, it was Ava who decided to give him these instead of Ephemer as a way to try and avert the course of destiny and attempt to change their fates. Brain is the one in the group who drives the plot along the most, with him doing research on their situation, crafting new Dream Eaters for their dandelions, and it was him that would eventually come to the conclusion that they were in a Data Daybreak Town. During the ending, after sending Lauriam, Ilrena, and Ventus on their way, he vowed to stay behind as long as it took to get the dandelions out of the Data Daybreak Town. He would then be approached by Lucia, who took an interest in him, with their conversation being cut short. In the aftermath of Daybreak Town's destruction, it is revealed that Brain arrived in Scala ad Caelum, a different version than the one we know, being picked up by a faceless man called Sigurd, stating that they knew that he would arrive at this point in time and in this location, taking him back to his HQ, where they would pass the statue of Ephemer I mentioned before, Brain stating that he knows who it is, because it's his best friend. While this happens, we also discover that Brain was also in the Keyblade graveyard, now donning a black coat and no hat, with the no-name Keyblade and Master's black box at his side. There is a lot of mystery surrounding Brain, and it would have been explored in Missing Link, as he would appear in a trailer for the game before its cancellation. That's the breadth of importance of these 8 characters and their impact on the plot. Most of these characters are still active participants in the Kingdom Hearts story and will likely have a role to play in the upcoming Kingdom Hearts 4 to some capacity, with Strelitzia already being shown and at the very least Brain most likely having some kind of spotlight as a way to fill in the gaps left behind by the now cancelled Missing Link. But now I want to talk about the actual game itself and its chances of actually happening. I think that the chances of this game happening are very high, however, there's a bit of a catch, a monkey's paw curling if you will. Most people, myself included, would like a Union Cross remake to appear as a traditional 3D Kingdom Hearts game, maybe 15 to 20 hours long, basically your standard fare Kingdom Hearts game. However, I think unfortunately if this game is going to happen, it's going to be remade in one of 2 options. It'll either be a cutscene movie in the same vein as Keyback Cover, or the more likely option B, a HD 2D game. There is a reason I think the Union Cross remake being a HD 2D game is more likely. Recently there's been some kind of initiative at Square that's given us 2 games. First is Octopath Traveler 0, originally released on December 4th, 2025, which is a remake of the mobile game Octopath Traveler Champions of the Continent that was originally released on October 28th, 2020 in Japan and July 27, 2022 worldwide. And while it didn't technically end its service, the game's publishing rights were transferred to NetEase in January 2025, so it's technically no longer a Square Enix game. Octopath Zero has been seen as a positive critical and commercial success for Square. The next game is one that was very recently revealed at the June Nintendo Direct, and that is Final Fantasy Resonance, Final Fantasy's first HD 2D game, which will be releasing on the 22nd of October this year. This is a remake of the now defunct mobile game Final Fantasy Brave Exvius, which was originally released November 14, 2019 in Japan and March 25, 2020 globally. The game would end its service globally on October 30th, 2024 and in Japan on October 31st the following year. You see where I'm going with this? Square Enix is making enhanced console reimaginings of their dead mobile games, with the gacha elements pulled out and instead having them integrated into their games as core mechanics. Union Cross is a prime candidate for something like this, and by giving fans a HD 2D remake with enhanced visuals, no gacha mechanics, voice acting and better overall presentation, you give the fans maybe not exactly what they want, but you still give them a version of what they're asking for. I'm personally not the biggest fan of HD 2D games, and I think one of the biggest issues with Union Cross was its style and being 2D. So to give it a HD 2D game when not only are the rest of the games surrounding it all 3D, but you already have a fair amount of the assets rendered in Unreal Engine 4 that could be ported to Unreal Engine 5 ready to go, such as models for Ephemer, Brain, Strelitzia, Daybreak Town, Maleficent, the Lifeboats, Ava, Lucio, and so on and so forth. You can make a game with these with relative ease. The reason I don't think this will happen, however, is because HD 2D games comparatively are extremely cheap to produce, and their margin for profit is extremely high because of it, so Square is incentivized to take a stab with a cheaper HD 2D game in the hope that it at least breaks even, but more often than not, normally surpasses its budget and revenue. That said, if this game was to be a HD 2D game, what do I think it would be? I certainly don't think it will be an action game. If it was a traditional 3D game, I think it would be great. However, since this game was already semi-turn based, I think it would definitely suit them to make Union Cross a full turn based game, with the idea of keeping elements and enemy weak points to do more damage. Another thing they could do, as they are doing with FF Resonance, is bring back the gacha system as a more tangible part of the game's mechanics. Bring back the medal system and use it as special attacks or limits that the player can use. These medals can be found in chests, Moogle shops, or perhaps even crafted from synthesis materials found throughout the game and the world. This is what I think would suit the game better if it were to be HD 2D. Alternatively, if we think of it as a movie, this may be preferable as Union Cross will be vital to helping players understand what's happening in the Lost Master arc, so perhaps a year or two after Kingdom Hearts 4, they can make a DLC for the game that includes a full cutscene movie for Union Cross, and maybe even have a playable, short, zero Point 0.2 style game covering the events of Dark Road, no longer than 10 hours, explaining how people like Valley will be involved with Kingdom Hearts 4. The final thing I want to mention that perhaps lends credence to this game potentially becoming a reality in the not too distant future is that on June 13th, the producer of Final Fantasy Resonance, Keisuke Nakashima, liked a tweet asking for a HD 2D game remaking Kingdom Hearts Union Cross. Now, this could mean something, but it could also just as easily mean nothing at all, as ultimately the final say for this sort of project will come down to Disney and Square's higher-ups. Nomura will likely have some say in it as he's made it clear he wants the games to be as accessible as possible, and likely hates the idea that an important portion of Kingdom Hearts' story is now locked behind a defunct mobile game that fans have to recommend people watch on YouTube to understand. It's certainly not an ideal situation, that's for sure. As I mentioned in my Road to Kingdom Hearts 25th anniversary video, I think personally that Kingdom Hearts 4 won't be the only thing shown at the event, as I believe they must have other Kingdom Hearts projects cooking at the minute, and I believe Kingdom Hearts Union Cross Remake might be one of them, but unfortunately we will just have to wait and see if that happens. But that will be all for today's discussion on a potential Union Cross remake. It's an extremely important game for Kingdom Hearts to cover due to its implications on the wider Kingdom Hearts story, and well, I think we all just want to have it in a playable, voice state after it went dark. But let me know what you guys think. Do you want a Union Cross remake? And tell me, have you explored the contents of the story? Let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Goodbye for now, and may your heart be your guiding key.